confirmed. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, last night I brought you the second part of my special report into Labor's reckless renewables-only agenda. And it's been the Mallee region of Victoria where I've spent most of my time in recent weeks on the ground with farmers and communities that are hurting. Joining me now is the federal MP for that region, Nationals MP, the member for Mallee, Anne Webster. And thank you. Look, I also want to say to my viewers from the outset, you know, as I've been driving up the Mallee, plenty of time in the car, you and I have spoken often. I know you've been on the ground. I know you've had many town hall meetings, and almost all the farmers I spoke to are appreciative that you've been out there fighting for them. So, you know, as I put this to air, I was shocked at the intimidation and the police being called and the bullying and corruption allegations involved. How much of that had you heard?
Unfortunately, I've been hearing it for some time. And Peter, can I just say thank you? I join with all the farmers, Glendon and Tess and Alex and Ben, who all spoke with you, to thank you for coming to Mallee. We so often do not get air coverage unless it's from Sky, and they really appreciate you telling their story. It is our experience. I hear allegations of threats and bullying, cowboy proponents who are trying to set up wind farms all over Mallee, regardless of how it impacts neighbours and the others who live in that community. And so communities, as you would have heard, have become really a little discordant, to say the least. There is a lot of upset, and the meeting that I spoke at the other night, Wimmera Mallee Environmental and Agricultural, I've got to get it right, Protection Alliance, is a new meeting for me. About 200 people were there, all voicing their views. The absolute majority do not want these wind farms, and they certainly, in fact, I don't want to call them wind farms, I want to call them wind factories. I think industrial estates is a better terminology myself, and they certainly do not want the VNI West. And, you know, in fact, as you would have heard as well, over 90% of farmers who have now been chosen to host the VNI West are refusing to allow TCV onto their properties. And I just say, you know, good on them. This is democracy at work, and the state government is absolutely ignoring them, and they will compulsorily acquire their land. What happens to our food security in the future?
And so people at home, I'll remind them again, this is the VNI West is the transmission line from Sydney to Melbourne. It won't benefit these regions. It's all about power, green power, so-called green power for Sydney and Melbourne. And of course, all the way along, it creates a spine through regional communities for the economics of wind farms, foreign-owned wind farms, to work, because you can have a wind farm, but you've got to get the power it generates to the market via these transmission lines. And what's interesting, originally it was meant to go through Jacinta Allen, the Victorian Premier's electorate, but it's all been shifted into your electorate, and the inference that people have given me is that you're a safe National Party seat. You know, you're expendable. The National Party is expendable. Those people, those farmers in your region are expendable. But this is also driven by Anthony Albanese and Chris Bowen's obsession about getting to these targets for 2030. Can we please have a rethink about a renewables-only electricity grid?
Well, we have to, and I know, as you know as well, that the Coalition is definitely looking at a mixed grid, and nuclear is part of that footprint. More gas, and therefore I would argue less reason to, I was going to use a bad word there, but obliterate our farmland for these transmission lines and these wind turbines. I drove past Murrawarra in the little desert smoke haze yesterday morning, and I tell you, it just is eerie. It's not just the smoke, it is the fact that all this industrial equipment is sitting on land that has for 7 generations been farming for Australia and for the world. These farmers want to keep doing that, and they are feeling less and less confident, and it's just got to stop. They're not being heard.
And I heard that the cost of decommissioning these towers, one turbine alone, is something like $600,000. Now, this will be left to farmers, not the foreign companies, to farmers or to taxpayers. I'd love to get you to attend a town meeting with me up there. I'd love to get Ted O'Brien, the Coalition Energy Shadow Minister, there as well, because I think we need to draw attention to the hit to taxpayers and farmers here on just the wind turbines alone.
Can I just tell you, I would be absolutely thrilled to have that go ahead. And I have been told by Queensland people, I won't name them, that the current crop of wind turbines that are being decommissioned are $750,000 per turbine. So it's worse than you think. And you're right, if we've got shelf companies and international investment that has gone walking on these projects, it is absolutely, Andrew Dyer has said this, is the retired now Australian Energy Commissioner, that it will be left to the landowners to pay.
All right, we'll leave it there. We'll talk offline and set up a meeting, and we'll get Ted O'Brien out there on the ground as well. Thanks, Anne.